Hello, everyone. Welcome to this lecture on verbal aptitude for competitive examinations. In today's lecture, we would be discussing verbs and adverbs. So, what are verbs? Verbs are words used to describe an action, state, or occurrence, and forming the main part of the predicate of the sentence. For example, I ate my lunch. So, ate here is the verb which represents an action, that is the action of eating, right? And it forms the main part of the predicate of the sentence. That is, I ate my lunch. Ate my lunch is the predicate, and ate is definitely the main part of the predicate of the sentence, the verb. Right? Now we have two kinds of verbs, principal verbs and helping verbs. Principal verbs represent the primary action done by the subject. Right? For example, I read my book. So read here is the primary action that was done by the subject. I read my book. Right? Whereas the helping verbs are used along with the main verb, that is, along with the principal verb, to denote the tense of the verb. For example, I am teaching you. So teaching is the main verb, teaching is the principal verb, am is just used along with teaching to denote the tense here, right? Okay, so principal verbs are classified into two types, the transitive verb and intransitive verb. Transitive verbs are the ones that take an object, whereas intransitive verbs are the ones that do not take an object, right? We will now go in detail about discussing what are transitive and intransitive verbs. So, transitive verbs are the verbs uh, that pass their action over to an object, right? For example, she found a book in the library. So, she found what? A book in the library, right? It passes its action that is found over to an object that is the book, right? So if you can answer the question what or whom after a verb, it is transitive. She found what? She found a book. A transitive verb has two voices, the active voice and passive voice, which we are going to discuss soon. Whereas an intransitive verb is a verb that denotes a state or action complete in itself. It does not pass over to an object. For example, the birds sing in the morning. So there's no object here. The birds are the subject and they sing in the morning. The action is complete in itself. Sing, sleep, right? So such verbs are intransitive verbs that denote a state or action complete in itself, right? Helping verbs, on the other hand, are used to form tenses other than the simple present or past. For example, they have finished their homework. She is tired after the long journey. So is and have here represent helping verbs, right? Intransitive verbs. Now, intransitive verbs are verbs that do not require an object and are often, that do not require an object, right? They convey complete meaning on their own and do not need a direct object to complete their sense, right? So, verbs like arrive. She arrived early. So here, arrive makes complete sense on its own, right? Sleep. I slept well last night. She runs every morning. The children laugh loudly. So these are intransitive verbs because they do not require an object. They convey complete sense on their own. The sun disappeared behind the clouds. So disappeared conveys complete sense on its own. The cat jumped onto the table. We waited for the bus. So here these verbs waited, jumped, disappeared, laughed, runs, slept, arrived, all of these verbs convey complete sense on their own and thus are intransitive verbs. They do not require an object, right? Some verbs, however, can function both as transitive and intransitive, depending upon the context. For example, she sings a song. So she sings a song, right? She sings what? A song. That is the object. Whereas she sings beautifully. Sings here is makes complete sense on its own. It does not require an object here. She sings beautifully. So that is intransitive. I feel pain in my wound. So here the verb feel denotes pain in the wound, right? It takes an object. Whereas, how do you feel? How do you feel makes complete sense on its own. The feel here makes complete sense on its own. It does not require an object, thus it is intransitive, right? Now, other types of verbs are obviously action verbs that express a physical or mental action. For example, she dances, he thinks, she runs, I walk. So all of these are action verbs. That is physical or mental action. I teach, right? Linking verbs. They connect the subject to the subject complement, right? She is happy. So is here is the linking word. She is what? Happy, right? They seem excited, right? Auxiliary verbs or helping verbs, they assist the main verbs in forming tenses. I am running, I am teaching, she is walking, he has finished. So all of these are auxiliary verbs, helping verbs, whereas modal verbs are those that express possibility, necessity, or ability. She can sing, they must study, I must teach, right? So they represent possibility, necessity, or ability. It's important to keep in mind, um, right? Okay, now we come here to helping verbs, which are used along with the main verb to denote the tense of the verb, right? So here are some examples. I would like you to go through each and every example because these uh, will help you in your normal daily conversation and even in the examinations where you would know uh, which verb is being used as a helping verb, right? So, I am going to the store. Again, am is the helping verb here. She is studying for her exams. They are playing football in the park. He was cooking dinner when the guests arrived. The children were playing hide and seek. She is being very patient with her younger brother. We've been waiting for the bus for an hour. Please be careful. Be here is the helping verb. Please be careful while crossing the road. I've finished my homework. She has a beautiful garden. He had already left when I arrived. So these are certain helping verbs which are used along with the main verb. For example, she had already left. Left here is the main verb. Had here is the helping verb, which denotes the tense in the sentence, right? It talks about, the past tense. So these are important to keep in mind. You should read the other examples too. On this page, okay. Do, did, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must, can, could. All these are helping verbs because they denote the tense of the verb along with the main verb, right? Now we have tense, form, voice, mood, and number, right? Tense refers to the time of the action, that is present, past, or future. The next lecture we would be covering in the next lecture we would be covering tenses. So we need to be a little patient for that. Then we have form that specifies the structure of the verb. That is simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Again, I would be covering form with the tenses only. Then we have voice that indicates whether the subject is the doer of the action or the receiver of the action. For example, I wrote an essay. So I am the doer of an action. That is, I am the doer of writing an essay. That is, I am writing. I wrote an essay. So I am the subject here. I'm the doer of an action. It could be the receiver of an action also, right? That also we will talk about now in a while. Mood reflects the speaker's attitude towards the action. That is indicative, imperative, and subjunctive. And then we have the number that specifies if the verb relates to one, that is singular, or more than one, that is plural, right? Now we have the voice, that is the active voice, where the person or the thing denoted by the subject is the doer of the action. For example, I am teaching you. So I am the doer of the action. I am teaching, right? The king killed the lion. The king is the doer of the action. He killing is the action here, killed the lion. Okay, lion is the object here. Now, passive voice, the person or the thing denoted by the subject does not act but suffers the action done by someone or something, right? For example, the lion was killed by the king. So the lion here suffers the action done by someone or something. The lion here suffers the action done by the king, right? So the lion is the subject that suffers the action done by the king, right? Now, how do we change active voice into passive voice? So we take the object in the active voice and make it the subject in the passive voice, right? For example, the king, that was the subject, we made it the object in the passive voice, whereas the lion, that was the object, was made the subject in the passive voice, right? The king killed the lion was killed by the king, right? So we must keep that in mind. We'll cover the active and passive voice once again in tenses, uh, but now we move on to adverbs. Adverbs are a part of speech that modify or describe the verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. They provide additional information about how, when, where, or to what degree an action is performed. Adverbs add details to the sentence and help convey the manner, place, time, frequency, or certainty of an action or state. It is important to note that they help convey the manner, place, time, frequency, certainty, or degree of an action or state, right? So, types of adverbs, we have adverbs of time. According to meaning, we have adverbs of time, that is, uh, he arrived too soon, I woke up early, it was 10 years ago that I got diabetes, So there are, these are adverbs of time. Then we have adverbs of place. Don't sit there. Go away. I'm here. So, these are adverbs of place. Then we have adverbs of degree, quiet, very, too. It's too hot. I'm very hurt. Manner. We have adverbs of manner, slowly, loudly, fast. Then we have adverbs of number, often, never, once. And then we have adverbs of reason, that is hence and therefore. Then we have adverbs of reason like hence and therefore. However, according to use, adverbs are classified into simple adverbs, interrogative adverbs, and relative adverbs. Simple adverbs are quiet, soon, now, very. Here, interrogative adverbs are question adverbs, that is where, how, why, and when. And relative adverbs are also when, where, how, and why, right? So, relative adverbs. So, for example, when, or where. So these are used in sentences like, this was the park where I met Betty, right? Uh, I remember the day we first met. I know why you did not um, play badminton today. So there are these relative adverbs where they used to connect or refer the subordinate clause to the main part of the sentence, right? So you should keep that in mind. Now, an adverb is a verb which modifies a verb, that is, he eats quickly. An adjective, the dress is very beautiful, right? So here the adverb modifies an adjective. Beautiful, very beautiful. An adverb, he speaks quite loudly, right? A preposition, the cat jumped over the fence. The cat jumped over the fence. Conjunction, he left early because he had an appointment, right? A sentence, certainly you can join us for dinner. right? So we have adverbs which modify different parts of the sentence, which could be verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, or a sentence, right? Okay. You must speak different sentences, converse in English, and figure out, uh, where you must subconsciously know if you're using an adverb. So that is going to help you spot these easily in a sentence. Now we are going to talk about simple adverbs and divide them according to their meaning, as we have already seen before. We have adverbs of time that indicate when an action occurs, providing information about the timing or duration. For example, I'm busy right now, I'm teaching right now. So now is the adverb here. We have a meeting today. We have a class today. She will arrive tomorrow morning. Okay. We went to the park yesterday. People use smartphones a lot nowadays. I'll see you at the party and then we can talk. I met him once at a conference. So these words, these adverbs of time, once, then, nowadays, yesterday, tomorrow, today, now, all these indicate when an action occurs. That is, I'm teaching you now. So it's talking about the now. The action is occurring now. It provides information about the timing of the action, right? I met him once at the conference. It again tells us about when the action occurred, right? I met him once. He always arrives on time. She rarely eats sugar. Rarely, always, once. All of these are, indicate when an action occurs, providing information about its timing or duration. Rarely is like almost never or very rarely, right? The movie will start soon. It again is talking about the timing of when the movie is going to start. Early, late, before, after, later, twice, never, during. All of these are adverbs of time that provide us information about the timing or duration of the action, right? All of these, please do read all of these examples, do use them. Now we have adverbs of place that describe the location or direction of the action or state, right? Location or direction of the action or state. Please sit here. That is the location. Uh, the grocery store is over there. That is, it again talks about the location or direction. The kids left toys everywhere. I can find my keys nowhere. The treasure might be somewhere in the cave, somewhere. That is, location or direction, right? The mountains are far in the distance, and there's nowhere to hide. That is, there's no location to hide. Hide is the action here, of course. The birds were flying above the clouds. Flying is the action here. Above the clouds, above is the location. The cat is hiding below the bed. Hiding is the action, and below is obviously the adverb of place. Then we have the subway runs underground. The subway runs where? It runs underground, right? Runs is the action, underground is the adverb of place. Abroad, they went abroad for vacation. There's a park nearby. Please step away from the door. The car is parked behind the building. Behind is the location, or the direction in which the car, the location of the car, and behind the building, right? The parking or parked is the verb here, the action, right? All of this should be noted. Okay, sorry. We have adverbs of number. Adverbs of number provide information about the frequency or quantity of action. Frequency or quantity of action. I visited Paris once. So once, the frequency. She called me twice yesterday. He knocked on the door thrice. So that is the frequency of an action, the frequency of knocking. He knocked on the door thrice. She always arrives early. I never forget my keys. Right? Never. Again, frequency, never. We often go for a walk in the evening. Often. She rarely watches TV. Again, frequency, rarely. Sometimes I work from home. Sometimes, again, is the frequency. I baked twice as much last time. Here we are referring to quantity, twice as much. We have practiced enough times. Again, right? I have told you several times. We have been there many times. Again, all of these are talking about frequency of an action. We have been there. That is, we have been there many times. I've told you several times. It's telling about the frequency of telling, right? Now we have adverbs of manner. Adverbs of manner provide information about how an action is performed. Quickly, slowly, loudly, softly. I'm speaking loudly. I'm teaching quickly. So she completed the race quickly. The turtle moved slowly across the road. The music played loudly at the concert. She spoke softly to the baby. He handled the fragile items very carefully. The new system processes data more efficiently. The ballet dancer moved gracefully across the stage. She spoke boldly during the meeting. Please enter quietly. The baby is sleeping. Despite the rain, she greeted everyone cheerfully. The meeting ended abruptly. So here, abruptly, cheerfully, quietly, boldly, all of these are adverbs of manner because they provide us information about how an action is performed. And we have adverbs of degree, I guess. Yeah, adverbs of degree, which is, I think I have a problem here. Just give me a second. Yes, so adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree help express the intensity or extent of an action or the degree of a quality, adding nuance to its description. The coffee is very hot. So it's talking about the degree, the intensity of an action, right? It's or the degree of a quality, very hot, right? The music is too loud. It's talking about the intensity, the degree of loudness of the music, too loud. She seems quite happy. We're almost there. The movie was absolutely fantastic. It's talking about the extent or the intensity of an action again, or the degree of a quality. Yeah, degree of how fantastic the movie was. Absolutely fantastic. He completely forgot about the meeting, totally forgot about the meeting. It skipped his mind. So yeah, it's talking about the extent of an action, completely forgot. He has little patience. Again, it's talking about the quality, the degree. So it's little. I partially agree with your statement. I'm really tired after a long journey. The weather was so nice today. The food is hot enough. She barely finished her assignment on time. The food has too much salt. So again, it's talking about the intensity or the extent of an action or the degree of a quality, right? Can you speak more slowly? So more here represents the adverb of degree. Then we have adverb of reason. Adverbs of reason provide information about the cause or reason behind an action. He forgot his umbrella, therefore he got wet in the rain. So why did he get wet in the rain? Because he forgot his umbrella, right? So it provides information about the cause or the reason of reason behind an action. His reason of getting wet is because he forgot the umbrella. She didn't study for the test, hence she performed poorly. So why did she perform poorly? Because she did not study for the test. It provides information about the reason of performing poorly. It was getting late, so I decided to leave. She stayed home because she wasn't feeling well. So why did she stay at home? Because she wasn't feeling well. It talks about the reason as well, that she wasn't feeling well. She has been absent since last Monday. He has been absent since last Monday. Sorry. He didn't prepare for the presentation, and as a result, it was not well received. The team lost the match. Consequently, they got eliminated from the tournament. The flight was delayed due to bad weather. In light of the recent events, the security measures have been increased. Thanks to your support, we were able to complete the project successfully. So here, adverbs of reason, they provide information about the cause or reason behind the action. And then we have adverbs of affirmation. These are words that express agreement, confirmation, or positive acknowledgement. Certainly, I can help you with that. Again, it affirms, right? Absolutely, I agree with your proposal. This expresses agreement. The weather is beautiful indeed. It's confirming, it's a positive acknowledgement. Undoubtedly, she's the best candidate for the job. Again, agreement. Surely you must be joking. Yes, I can attend the meeting. Affirmation again. The team will definitely complete the project on time. Yeah, so the confirming, this is confirmation. His response was affirmative. Affirmation, of course, you can join us for lunch. The answer is absolutely correct. Again, confirmation. It was indeed a remarkable achievement. So the acknowledging, I'm sure he'll be there on time. So again, this is confirming he'll be there on time. Then we have adverbs of negation, right? Okay. So adverbs of negation are verbs that express the absence or denial of an action, right? I'm not interested in the offer. Under no circumstances should you open that door. So all of these words, not, under no circumstances, never, no, nor, nowhere, hardly, barely, all these are words that express the absence or denial of an action. There's nothing to worry about. Absence, basically, oh, yeah, nothing to worry about. I never expected such a reaction. No longer, nowhere, never, nothing, not at all, none, neither, scarcely. All these are adverbs of negation because they express the absence or denial of an action, right? Okay. Now, certain words can function both as adjectives and adverbs, depending upon their context. These words are known as adverbial adjectives or adjectival adverbs. For example, fast. She is a fast runner. This describes the noun runner. She is a fast runner. So it's an adjective. She runs fast. This modifies the verb runs. So here it's an adverb. Late. The late train arrived at the station. So this describes the noun. The late describes the noun train here. Whereas he arrived late, it modifies the verb arrived, right? So here it's an adverb. Hard. The rock is hard. It describes the rock, which is the noun. Then he works hard. It modifies the verb works. We arrived at the early meeting. Describes the noun meeting. And we woke up early. It modifies the verb woke up, right? The mountain is high. It describes the noun, the mountain, which is why it's an adjective. The plane flew high. It modifies the verb flew, right? So it's an adverb. Then we have close. The store is close to my house. So it's near my house, close to my house. It describes the noun store. Thus, it's an adjective. Please stand close. It modifies the verb stand, and thus it's here an adverb. So these words, which are used both as adjectives and adverb, depending upon their context, are known as adverbial adjectives or adjectival adverbs. Now, how do we form adverbs? We can form adverbs by adding ly to the end. Many adverbs are formed by adding ly to an adjective. For example, wise, wisely, kind, kindly, sweet, sweetly. When the adjective ends in a y, for example, happy, after a consonant, change y to I and add ly. So the y is cut, happily, readily, heavily. So these are certain rules that one must keep in mind. Then we have placement of adverbs. The placement of adverbs depends upon the emphasis, right? It depends upon the intended emphasis and the specific adverbs in use. Adverbs are versatile, can be positioned in various places to convey different nuances to the meaning of the sentence. They can be placed at the beginning of the clause or the sentence. For example, clearly, John has a problem arriving to work on time. Right, so here the placement of the adverb is before the sentence or the clause. Adverbs can also be placed at the end of the sentence or a clause. Sarah and John attended the opera frequently. Right, it can be used after the verb. It can be placed after the verb. Bob and John have always participated in the soccer tournament. Adverbs can also be put between the subject and the verb. Sarah rarely forgets to call home when she is out late. So it's put between the subject and the verb. In the middle of the sentence, the cat surprisingly caught the mouse. After the object of the verb, she played the piano beautifully. Right? Placement of adverbs. Again, we are talking about the same thing. It could be put after the auxiliary verb. After the first auxiliary verb, we have often been asked about our travel experiences. Before a preposition, she looked at him with disdain. After the object of a preposition, the letter was hidden under the doormat. They painted the house pink, that is between the main verb and its object. Before the main verb, when there's no auxiliary verb, she rarely visits her grandparents. Before a comparative adjective or adverb, the car drives much faster now. Before an adjective, he's quite intelligent. After a conjunction, they arrived on time, even though the traffic was heavy. Now we have certain questions. Choose the sentence with the correct adverb placement. The cat ran quick across the yard. The cat quickly ran across the yard. The cat across the yard quickly ran. Quickly, the cat ran across the yard. So, the answer to this cannot be C or D or A. So it has to be B. The cat quickly ran across the yard. Here, we are putting the adjective between the subject and the verb. That is, between the subject and the verb, the cat quickly ran across the yard, right? So adverbs of manner like quickly usually come after the verb, right? But here it does come after the subject. The cat quickly ran across the yard, right? Choose the sentence with the correct adverb placement. Again, the train late arrived. No, the train arrived late. Yes, that's correct. The late train arrived. The train arrived very late. So again, here, the incorrect adverb placement here is the train late arrived. The train arrived late is fine. The late train arrived is also okay. Maybe, it can modify the noun in a while, but then again, here it is not an adverb, it's an adjective, right? The train arrived very late. So here we have B, the train arrived late. That is the adverb here. C is an adjective, so it won't work. And the first one also won't work because late cannot come before arrived here. Before the verb, the adjective cannot come before, the adverb cannot come before the verb here. So it has to be the train arrived late, right? In the next lecture, we would be studying tenses. Until then, I would urge you to add to your vocabulary, get to know 5 new words of the English language, get to know what forms of speech they are, whether they are an adjective, adverb, noun, or whatever. And please note them down in the diary so that you can go back to them and enhance your vocabulary. Thank you so much. We're done for today. Bye.